Hi everyone, my name is Savannah Johnson, and today I will be discussing cognitive behavioral therapy, also known as CBT. Throughout this presentation, I will cover cognitive behavioral therapy, its history, its important founders, what makes cognitive behavioral therapy effective, its benefits, and I will also provide a short skit as an example of how cognitive behavioral therapy, also referred to as CBT, works between the therapist and the client. CBT started in the 1960s. There were two major figures who helped shape CBT. First is Dr. Aaron Beck, who developed cognitive therapy. Aaron Beck, born in 1921 in Providence, Rhode Island, is one of the most influential figures in modern-day psychology. Aaron Beck studied at Brown University and later received his MD from Yale University School of Medicine in 1946. One of Beck's most famous contributions was the cognitive triad, describing the three negative thought patterns common in depression. This includes negative views about oneself, their views about the world, and their views about the future. Beck emphasized that much of our thinking is automatic and habitual. These automatic thoughts can be biased, unrealistic, and self-defeating, but people often accept them without question. Therapy involves helping clients recognize, challenge, and replace these thoughts with healthier ones, ultimately empowering the client. The second major figure who helped shape CBT was Dr. Albert Ellis, who created Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy, which is also referred to as REBT. Dr. Albert Ellis was born in 1913 and passed away in 2007. He was an American psychologist who developed REBT in the 1950s. His work laid the foundation for what later became cognitive behavioral therapy. Ellis is considered one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century. He aimed for challenging irrational beliefs. Ellis believed that much emotional distress comes from irrational and self-defeating beliefs rather than external events themselves. Ellis emphasized that while we cannot always control outside events, we can control how we think about them. He wanted clients to take responsibility for their emotions and behaviors rather than blaming others or circumstances. Unlike other approaches of this time, Ellis was very direct in his therapy. His goal was quickly to identify irrational beliefs, challenge them, and to teach his clients how to change them. While Dr. Aaron Beck and Dr. Albert Ellis were the two major figures who helped shape CBT, they did work independently and created their approaches and studies differently. Ellis developed REBT based on philosophical ideas and morals, while Beck's cognitive therapy was based on empirical research. CBT is one of the most widely studied and practiced forms of psychotherapy. Some of the benefits include that it is evidence-based. CBT is backed up by decades of research showing its effectiveness across a wide range of mental health conditions. CBT is also short-term and goal-oriented, which means the therapist and the client collaborate early on to define what success looks like. For example, someone struggling with anxiety might set a goal of reducing panic attacks, while someone with depression might focus on increasing daily activity by challenging negative self-talk. Each session is structured around moving toward these goals, often including homework assignments like journaling, thought records, or activities that give clients the opportunity to apply new skills outside of therapy, which strengthens the process. The short-term, goal-focused approach makes CBT practical and empowering. Clients don't just talk about their problems, They actively learn strategies to manage thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in real life. In this way, CBT helps people make meaningful changes within weeks or months, while also equipping them with tools they can continue to use long after the therapy ends. For an example of how the therapist and the client may work together in CBT. First, they would work on setting an agenda. At the start of the session, the therapist and the client decide on what to focus on. Next, they would explore thoughts and feelings. The client shares recent situations on how they felt. The therapist helps them identify automatic thoughts linked to those feelings. Next, they would work together to examine the evidence. They look whether the thought is accurate, exaggerated, or even distorted. Together, they would reframe the thought. They work on creating a more balanced or realistic thought to replace the negative one. For example, even if I trip in public, most people won't even notice or care. After that, they would plan a behavioral experiments or homework. This is the most beneficial part of the whole process. The therapist suggests a small task to test how they would do this in real life. For example, at the next gathering, I'm going to start one conversation and then I'm going to reflect on it afterwards. This is especially helpful if someone is struggling with social anxiety. Next, they would review the progress in the next session. At the following session, they could discuss on what worked and what didn't. This is how they could adjust their strategy. Some of the key points or takeaways from this is that the relationship is collaborative. The therapist provides structure, tools, and guidance. The client brings their experiences and does the practice between sessions. Together, they create a cycle of learning, testing, and adjusting that leads to lasting change after the therapy ends. Cognitive behavioral therapy is one of the most researched and widely used forms of therapy in psychology today, and it's for good reason. What sets CBT apart is that it's not only short-term and structured, but also highly collaborative. The therapist and the client work together as a team. They identify unhelpful thought patterns, challenge them with evidence, and replace them with more balanced and realistic perspectives. This process doesn't just reduce distress in the moment, it teaches skill that people can carry with them long after the therapy ends. Ultimately, CBT is more than just symptom relief. It's about building resilience, developing healthier coping strategies, and improving your overall quality of life. It equips people with lifelong tools to handle setbacks, stress, and self-doubt. It encourages a mindset of growth rather than defeat. That is why CBT remains one of the most trusted and effective approaches in psychology today. And it is thanks to Aaron Beck and Albert Ellis that it still remains one of the most effective therapies. It helps people recognize and change unhelpful thoughts, leading to healthier emotions and actions. Thank you for watching my presentation. I hope this gave you a clear picture on how CBT is used in practice.